Let's get rid of this shame-inducing kind of vocab going on here.
I think it makes you self-aware.
Yeah.
Not selfish.
Not selfish.
You're actually really self-aware.
You're self-aware?
Yeah. I think her initial gut reaction to me was, wow, that's so selfish, until we unpacked what that meant for her.
Are there some irrational fears here as well? Hey everyone.
Hey.
Welcome back to the therapy floor.
I'm Dr. Ritz.
And I'm Dr. Vicky. And I'm really tired. I'm really tired, but I'm pushing through for you guys. We've got some juicy dilemmas to talk about, don't we?
Sometimes I feel that when I go into my clinic room really tired, either like lack of sleep or just like too much on, sometimes that's my best work.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know
I'm
what?
almost a bit unfiltered, like really unfiltered. Like I just go for it.
Even more so.
So I feel like this could happen today.
I think this is probably likely to happen. So give me grace, guys. Give me grace if I'm just a bit too raw and direct.
We're going to hear what you're really thinking today.
Yeah.
You're really, really thinking. Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Ready?
How are you, by the way? You
I'm
right?
good.
Okay,
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm good.
Sorry.
I'm feeling bouncy because I got my hair done.
Your hair is very bouncy. I'm loving it.
Went for like an old school bob.
Yeah. It's so great.
Yeah. It was reminding me of like my mum at school pickup when she picked me up.
Yeah.
That was like the vibe I was going for.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, love it.
So, we've got a dilemma here.
Okay.
This is a woman in her early 30s, and she's saying, I'm grappling with my concerns about my suitability for motherhood. I'm a professional and I work in a very demanding career. Recently, many of my friends have become mothers and they're openly sharing their experiences. I love that they are talking to me, but I've also been confronted with the stark realities and the immense responsibilities that come with parenting. Good, because I don't feel like it gets talked about.
Yeah.
This has intensified my anxiety about whether I possess the necessary selflessness and resilience required for motherhood. The more I learn, the more I fear that my desire for personal freedom and my career ambitions might make me too selfish to be a good mother. I worry about my ability to cope with the sacrifices and the emotional demands involved. Thinking this way has really led me to question if my fears indicate a fundamental selfishness that could maybe hinder my capacity to nurture and care for a child. How can I navigate these fears and honestly assess my readiness and capability for motherhood? What steps can I take to address these concerns and make an informed decision about my future? What are you thinking?
Okay, first of all, let's get rid of this shame-inducing kind of vocab going on here. Like the word selfish, I don't know how many times that appeared in there, but in my head I was thinking, why are we putting a label on this? Why are we putting such a negative label on, one, your fears and anxiety, which is totally normal to have anxiety and have fears, but also over what may be just it is what it is. Like if you are someone who knows that you want to focus on yourself and you want to, I guess you have things that you want to do, things you want to accomplish, a life that you want to lead. Does that make you selfish? I think it just makes you you. You just know what you want.
I was going to say, I think it makes you self-aware.
Yeah.
Not selfish.
Not selfish.
You're actually really self-aware.
You're self-aware?
Yeah.
So I don't know why you're putting this label of selfishness on it, and where has that come from? So immediately I want to go into not necessarily just thinking about becoming a mum. I want to think about, well, who was parenting you? Who was nurturing you in this? Sorry, that sounds quite judgmental. I don't mean to sound judgmental, but I'm thinking about, you're thinking about nurture and your capacity to nurture, but I'm also thinking about the way you are nurturing, and maybe other people have nurtured you into quite a negative mind space and quite a judgmental mind space. You know, deeming yourself selfish, questioning your capabilities, and that seems like quite a harsh mindset to be in. So I know we will come to the baby things, but before that, I even want to think about just your relationship with yourself. How are you nurturing yourself actually? What are you thinking?
When you were asking about her relationship of being nurtured, I wonder whether she had a role model, or her, not even role model, her caregiver was one that had to give up a lot to care for her.
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah.
You know, what did your mother do?
Yeah.
Was there a narrative around sacrifice? Because I've heard it quite a lot, actually.
That you have to sacrifice as
Not
a
even
parent.
that parents saying, do you know how much I sacrificed for you? And putting that on. Like, I've had clients come to me in therapy for that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because actually, you know what I'm hearing in a lot of this is guilt.
Yeah.
And that this like feeling to put yourself first is causing guilt, and the guilt is wrong. And I remember reading something recently which really did not really resonate well with me, but it was somebody advertising like their coaching services on how to be a guilt-free mother. And I was like, no, because guilt is really appropriate and normal. Yeah. And actually it's okay to feel like, yes, I need to give to somebody else, but I also need to give to myself. I feel like actually what you're saying is actually going to set you up really well for motherhood, because it's not about being selfless.
Yeah.
I think our society portrays mothers to be in-tuned, selfless, not angry, calm, gentle. God, the gentle parenting stuff. Like,
that really irks you, doesn't it?
It does irk me. Because it's putting more responsibility on a mother and a parent, and taking a less away from their authenticity.
Yeah.
Because that is what a relationship is. It's about authenticity. And so this is, when you're asking us, how do I know if I've got the capacity to nurture a child? Well, you're showing self-awareness. So that's part of the capacity already. Exactly. Yeah. You're showing, actually, I call it the aeroplane analogy. I need to put on my own oxygen mask before I can help others. Big tick. And
you're just thinking about it.
Yes.
Like, you're thinking about what motherhood could possibly entail for you. And you're also thinking about, how do I move into this space? How do I even navigate my fears around it? Which is so helpful. Some people do walk into parenthood, I think, with their eyes closed a little bit. And then, some people on the other extreme are like, I don't know, maybe over analytical, overthink everything. And I don't know if it's the right way to be. Is there a right way to be? Maybe it's just about being fluid and not so fixed.
I think it's about just being authentic.
Being authentic and acknowledging there are going to be times where actually you do think about, okay, are my needs going to be hampered because of a child? I think that's a very practical thing to think about.
I think the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Also to that.
Yeah. And maybe you can decide what that could look like for you.
But it's not just a child, by the way. I think of it with any relationship you get into, that you choose to get into. Friends, partners, even pets. It's okay for everybody to have needs. Yeah. It's important for everybody to have needs and to have them, turn them into wants. But it's about using that self-awareness and that recognition with any of those relationships that I just named, that when do you need to advocate for yourself?
Yeah.
To put that need forward and say, actually, this need really needs to get met. To, yes, I have this need, and actually part of me being in this relationship is sacrificing that need.
Yeah. Or these needs at times.
At times, yeah, I like that.
I also want to come back to the whole anxiety piece, because what I'm hearing is not someone who is struggling with accepting that she doesn't want to be a mum. Because that's one thing, isn't it? Like, you know, coming to the place of acceptance that actually this is not the route for me. This is not what I want. And then feeling okay to admit that to yourself and to admit that to other people. But what I'm hearing is this is something that you want, but you fear your capacity. You fear your capabilities. And I think when we think about this with anything other than like motherhood, maybe we could think about this for like a job that you want to do. Like, you want a promotion, you want to go for the next role up, but you're doubting yourself and you're doubting whether you're up for it. Well, let's think about this practically. Is it okay to have some fear over something that is going to be challenging and something that is going to require a lot of growth and discomfort as you stretch into it? Yeah, that's normal. But are there some irrational fears here as well? Are there some absolutist thinking that you have, some perfectionistic thinking about, again, what motherhood looks like for you?
That's what I was picking up on. I wonder if in your mind, and maybe again bringing it back to her own mother, to be a mother, does that require you to almost like wipe yourself out?
Yeah.
Like you then exist for these other people. You can't exist for yourself anymore in terms of, you know, you talk about this career that you have, this profession that you've built up for yourself. Are you allowed to have other parts of you coexist alongside being a mother and having the role of a mother? And are you allowed to be okay with that? Like I almost wondering if there's an underlying element here of like permission seeking. Like I'm not selfless, so therefore am I okay to do it?
Yeah, you are.
I think so.
You are.
But I also think your concerns are very valid, and I think a lot of people will resonate with them.
Yeah.
Because when I was coaching a client, I'm going to share this because it's actually about me, not the client. But when I was coaching a client and we had come to an end of the session, and it was actually during COVID as well, and it was coaching, so it was different to therapy. So I asked her how she was going to spend the rest of her, I think it was like a late one, so the rest of her like late afternoon, evening, and she asked me how I was going to spend mine. I was meant to have someone after her, and I didn't. That person had cancelled, and my kid was downstairs and being looked after by somebody. And I said to her, oh, I think, and I told her this, I said, oh, my kid's downstairs, I was meant to have someone else. And she said, oh, that's lovely, you'll get to go downstairs and see them and spend time with them.
I know where this is going because I know Rit.
And I said, no, I'm going to watch Bridgerton. And the shock on her face, she was like, but if you can spend time with your child, why wouldn't you do that? And I said, because I need to spend time with me. Once that help goes, it's me and him then until my partner comes home, because he was a key worker working away. I need this.
Yeah.
And we ended up talking about it the whole of the next session, because she had never thought that was an okay thing to do.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah. I really like that.
But I think her initial gut reaction to me was, wow, that's so selfish, until we unpacked what that meant for her.
But I really like just how you're framing it. Like, you know, it's okay. Like, if this person is seeking permission, maybe it's okay for you to figure out as much as you can beforehand, because I think some things you just do have to walk through it to fully know what it's going to look like and to tweak it. But as much as you can beforehand, what do you want motherhood to look like for you? Or feel like, actually? Because you can't control everything. Things are out of our control. You don't want to put more pressure on yourself for it to be a certain way. But maybe you can just start to have an idea of what would a healthy motherhood look like for you when you get to that stage.
Yeah.
You have permission, basically.
Yeah. And then there's the flip side of it, where sometimes people say, nothing's going to change. This child will just fit.
That's so unrealistic.
So I think it's about being realistic with it, which I think you are being. Like, there is going to be this level of yourself that at times you will give up or will change. But I like what you said there. What do you want it to look like for you?
For you. And can you have the courage, not the absence of fear, but the feeling of fear and uncertainty, but still moving forward anyway, have the courage to stand in that when society, when friends, when family, when your partner tries to tell you something different.
That does take a lot of courage.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
Really does. Particularly during moments. I mean, some people take to motherhood like, you know, duck off a water's back and they really like stride into it. And some people really struggle and find it's an adjustment period. You know, it's a huge, huge thing to happen to you. A new identity that's being formed and then you having to merge it with your previous identity. It's like a huge thing. So yeah, it's a difficult thing to do in the midst of a huge change anyway. But I really encourage you to still have courage. I know that's the definition of encourage, but you know.
This is really reminding me of a new, I think a term that's getting more light now called matrescence. And I can't remember the name, but somebody did quite a good TED talk on this. But it's about how when you go from pregnancy to birth to motherhood, this evolution of yourself that happens, that you are very much going to be a changed person. There's no denying that.
Yeah.
And that there's science behind this, there's psychology behind this, there's philosophy behind this. So I think that could be an avenue for you to maybe think about researching more.
Yeah, arm yourself up.
Yeah.
Have some backing.
To think, actually, everything I'm thinking and feeling is really normal, and it is going to be really, if this happens for me and if I want it to happen, it will be a massive shift. And that you're just expanding that self-awareness of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Which it sounds like you're very open to do.
Yeah.
From what you're talking about. And I think if you did become a mother, like, wow, your kids would get that from you.
I know.
Like, just by having this conversation, like, that's within you, and that quality would come out without you having to be explicit about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we focus on what we don't have.
Yeah, but you do have a lot here.
Yeah.
And I hope you can find people around you that can kind of like really resonate with you and are willing to explore this with you, like other potential mothers that you may find along your path.
Your tribe.
Because it is a journey, isn't it? Because motherhood also has its stages. And there'll be ebbs and flows and there'll be different seasons of it, right? And you may not feel the same all the way throughout the journey.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's okay for your beliefs to change from pre to pregnancy to post. Like, you are allowed, it's an evolution, you're allowed to evolve.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope that's been helpful.
I hope so too. Thank you so much for sharing it with us.
It's been an interesting one, which definitely I think you're very brave and courageous to bring it to us. So I think a lot of people will get something from this.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Right, let's wrap this one up and join us for part 2.
Peace.
Bye. This is Dr. Ritz.
And Dr. Vicky.
Remember to like, subscribe and follow us on our social media channels.